everyone, this tutorial will teach you how to use Blender's 3D hairbrush add-on to create the head hair of a North American bison model. The course is divided into two sections, hair direction and hair styling. Section 1, hair direction. Learn how to use various brushes and quickly groom hair in a direction that conforms to natural rules. Section 2, hairstyling. Learn how to quickly create detailed hairstyling with modifiers. This chapter explains the methods of grooming hair direction. First, add a layer of hair to the model. The number of guides should be increased appropriately, as too few guides can lead to less detailed combing. And don't add too many guides initially, as you are only working with the overall direction and do not need too many guides. Just ensure there are no too sparse areas. The length of the guides should correspond to the general length of North American bison hair. A medium length is recommended. The length should not be too long or too short to ensure ease of subsequent operations. Set a lower number of segments, recommended to be 2, because a higher segment count can make it more difficult to comb the overall directions. You can gradually increase the number of segments during later detailed adjustments. If the current distribution of guides is uneven, you can solve this problem by turning off random order. This will make the distribution of guides more even, which is convenient for later combing. Before combing the hair direction, you need to first paint the hair weight. Weight can control the growth area of hair, and this layer of weight is the base weight. Subsequent weights will be modified based on the base weight, as this will be quicker and more convenient. You can switch to wireframe mode to clearly view the model's wireframe structure, which makes painting weight more convenient and precise. After that, the basic hair settings are complete, and you can formally start combing the hair direction. After painting, you can name the vertex groups for easier and clearer subsequent operations. Assign the named vertex group to the hair vertex group to control the density of the hair. Next, you can comb the hair direction. To improve efficiency and easily observe the hair effect, it is recommended to handle the symmetry of the hair first. After turning on X mirror, you can start combing the hair symmetrically. First, handle the most obvious length differences in the hair. For areas with shorter guides, select and shorten the guides directly. Switch to wireframe mode to better observe the overall hair structure, and then shorten all hair. At this point, you do not need to consider transitioning the length with surrounding guides. The focus is to determine the current guide length. Subsequent use of the smooth brush can quickly adjust the transition of guide lengths, making it naturally smooth. After shortening the guides around the eyes, you can continue to handle the guides around the mouth. To facilitate the observation and modification of guide effects in a specific area, you can turn on Hide Guide Lines, which completely hides the guides and only displays the visible guides. Following the above method, shorten the guides around the mouth to an appropriate length. The cheek area's guides may be too long and need to be shortened. It is recommended to observe from multiple angles, select the overly long guides, and adjust them one by one. The guides on the top of the head may need to be lengthened to achieve a better effect. Similarly, you can observe and modify from different views to ensure overall consistency. After all length adjustments are completed, rotate the view to check the overall effect for any issues. Next, we need to handle the transition between long and short guides. You can use the smooth brush for this, as it not only makes the guide smooth, but also includes the length mode, which can even out different lengths of guides, making the lengths more consistent. Place the brush between short and long hairs so that the lengths of the guides will gradually transition. When using the smooth brush, it is recommended to first use a large scale for overall modification, then use a small scale for fine adjustments, making the transition effect smoother and more natural. After that, the effect has significantly improved. Rotate the view and you may notice that the guides on the cheeks are slightly too long, which can be appropriately shortened for a better transition with the mouth guides. Next, handle the length transition of the guides around the mouth, using the same method as with the guides around the eyes. Then the guide lengths are adjusted. Next, we need to adjust the number of guides to make their distribution more even. Guides that are too dense or too sparse can affect the combing of the hair, and uneven guides can cause the hair direction to appear unnatural and lack detail variation. Previously, we added guides with the add brush. Although this method can increase the number of guides, the added guides are randomly distributed, which may result in guides being too dense, and the effect is not ideal. At this point, we can use the density brush for modification. The density brush precisely adds or removes guides by distance, achieving an even distribution. Next, we can start combing the guide directions. When combing guides, you can first use the 3D brush of 3D hairbrush, as it can quickly comb the overall direction of the guides while maintaining the fluffiness, avoiding too uniform a direction. Compared to this, a 2D brush is more suitable for handling detailed directions. Of course, 3D and 2D brushes need to be used in combination. The 3D brush is used to create major directions, while the 2D brush handles detailed parts. We can start by combing the guides around the eye sockets. When using the 3D brush, ensure the brush is placed at the root of the guides for combing, otherwise the effect won't be ideal. During the combing process, also pay attention to the length of the guides. If the length is not suitable, the combing will also be affected, so it is necessary to adjust the length accordingly. When adjusting the length, do not focus too much on the details of the transition. You can use the smooth brush for quick processing. After adjusting the length, continue to modify the direction of the guides. When combing the guide direction, ensure the curvature of the guides is natural and smooth. Avoid using too straight guides, as overly straight guides make it appear unnatural and stiff. After combing, we can observe the effect. If the guide direction under particle edit mode is not clear enough, switch to object mode and enable hair children and modifiers, then add a clump modifier. to make the hair more conspicuous and easy to observe the effect, you can assign a material ball with a different color from the body to the hair, which helps to clearly see the changes in the hair. You can also make the hair slightly thinner and increase the quantity. At this point, the hair direction should be clearer, making it easier to observe and adjust. The current number of segments may not be enough. You can appropriately increase it, making the effect of hair children closer to the guide direction. After adjustment, you can continue to fine-tune the hair direction. Next, continue to comb the guide direction in the cheek area, ensuring the hair direction in each area is natural and conforms to the hair reference. During the combing process, you might find severe intersecting issues with the hair under the head. Now, you can enter 3D mode and use the Orient brush to comb the intersecting guides. Because 3D mode combs at the hair roots, it will not affect the directions of other normal hair, avoiding intersecting issues. When combing guide directions, it is usually necessary to observe in multiple views. You can switch between 2D and 3D modes and use the 2D brush to comb the hair in the front view, making it flatter and adjusting to the ideal direction. If you find some areas where the guides are too long, such as above the cheeks, you can appropriately shorten these guides to maintain overall consistency and naturalness. Some overly fluffy hair can be combed using the Orient brush, making it flatter. Using the Orient brush to handle the fluffiness and flatness of the hair is more convenient than using the puff brush, as the puff brush can easily ruin the direction of guides. Too fluffy or too flat guides can make them too straight. When using the Orient brush to adjust fluffiness, the direction and curvature of the hair guides will not be affected. Next, comb the hair direction above the cheeks to make it flatter. After adjusting the fluffiness if the direction is too straight, you can appropriately adjust the hair direction, allowing it to be slightly random. This makes the hair more natural and detailed. If you observe that the hair length changes are too distinct, you can use the smooth brush to smooth them. For some overly flat hairs, you can use the Orient brush to adjust the fluffiness, making it more natural. Then, use the smooth brush again to even out the hair length. For overly fluffy guides, you can use the Orient brush again to adjust for a flatter effect. After the overall direction combing is complete, use the 2D brush to adjust the curvature of the guides, making the hair direction more natural and various. Then, comb the hair direction below the eyes, maintaining smoothness. For some overly fluffy or overly flat hairs, use the Orient brush for adjustment. After that, enter object mode to view the hair effect, ensuring the overall hair shape conforms to the reference. We observe that the hair direction on the cheeks is still too straight. You need to comb out more curvature, adding detail to the direction. Use the 3D brush to adjust the direction. you can frequently switch to object mode to observe the hair direction. If you find that the hair direction on the rear of the cheeks is still too straight, you can appropriately add some curvature to make the direction more natural and random. The hair direction on the front of the cheeks also seems too straight. You need to add more curvature, but the number of guides is not enough. So you can first use the density brush to increase the guide density. Then continue adjusting the direction. After the direction combing is complete, if you find that the hair on the front of the cheek still appears too flat, you can use the orient brush to adjust the hair's fluffiness without ruining the original direction. In this process, some fluffy areas may appear too short, so you need to make appropriate adjustments using the length brush. Next, enter object mode to view the hair effect, ensuring the fluffiness and direction match the reference. By observation, you can find that the guides on the cheeks are still sparse, not displaying enough details of direction. For such detailed areas, you can use the Add brush to add more guides. For areas with few guides and significant direction difference, you can quickly add guides using the density brush. While adding guides, you can also adjust the direction at the same time to make the overall effect more consistent. After combing, enter object mode to view the hair direction. After combing the cheek hair, you can then comb the hair direction around the mouth. You can use the 3D brush to comb the guides around the mouth. Next, handle the hair direction at the junction between the mouth and cheeks. You can comb the hair direction near the cheeks towards the mouth, making the transition more natural. The hair around the mouth is somewhat too long. Use the length brush to shorten the hair, especially around the edges. The closer to the edge, the shorter the hair should be, making the transition with the model smoother and also presenting length variation, making the hair appear various. The number of guides is somewhat low. You can quickly add guides using the density brush. After that, you can rotate the view to check for issues in other areas. And you can find that the hair around the mouth appears too flat. You can use the orient brush to make the hair fluffier. Too flat hair lacks a sense of layering, so you need to appropriately increase the fluffiness. The hair in the middle of the mouth is somewhat messy. For this situation, you can use the 2D brush for combing, as the 2D brush can quickly and conveniently solve such problems. Switch to the side view, use the orient brush to make the hair fluffier. After that, enter object mode to view the hair. The hair direction around the mouth is basically satisfactory. However, by rotating the view, you can find that the guides in the middle of the head are too straight. You need to use the 2D brush to add some curvature. After handling the curvature, enter object mode to view the hair. After completing the mouth hair direction, you need to comb the hair direction on the chin. Currently, the guides are somewhat too long. You can first use the length brush to trim the hair shorter. When combing guide length, consider the length variation. The guides at the front of the chin can be slightly shorter, while those at the rear can be left longer. This makes the transition of front and rear guides more natural and adds a sense of layering to the hair. After that, continue combing the guides using the 3D brush. Next, switch to the side view, use the orient brush to make the hair fluffier, especially at the transition with the cheeks, making the hair fluffier. After that, enter object mode to view the hair direction effect. By observation, you can find that the guides below the head appear too straight, and the guide length is also inappropriate, needing further adjustment. First, comb the overly fluffy guides to make them flatter, especially making necessary adjustments for intersecting guides. After handling the direction, you need to adjust the length. You can use the smooth brush to ensure the length is consistent. Then you can appropriately lengthen the guides, adjusting to a suitable length. Next, use the comb brush to adjust the hair direction. Note, if you comb the direction before lengthening the hair, the direction might be ruined. Therefore, you must first adjust the hair length, then comb the hair direction. To more visually modify the hair direction, you can select the guides below the head, ensuring you can clearly see the guide length, facilitating subsequent adjustments. Next, modify the guide length and direction in multiple views. After that, you can switch to object mode to view the hair effect. If you find the hair on the rear of the head is too long, you can shorten it appropriately. Use the smooth brush to adjust the length transition between the rear and the front of the head, making the transition more natural. Then, enter object mode to view the hair effect, ensuring there are no other obvious issues. We observe that the hair direction on the rear of the head is too straight, lacking variation. You can use the 2D brush to add some curvature changes. After that, the effect looks more natural and the direction is smoother. Check for any other issues. You can find that the hair around the mouth is too fluffy and the length is too long and straight, needing modification. Meanwhile, you can first handle the issue with significant direction intersection, then adjust the guides around the corners of the mouth. When adjusting the length, you can first select the area to be adjusted, making it more visual and convenient for adjustment. First, shorten the overly long hair. Then use the smooth brush to adjust the length transition between the mouth and head hair. After that, comb the direction and add curvature and detail changes and modify the overly straight hair, adding variation to the direction. When handling areas with significant hair intersection, you can first select the intersecting hair, then use the orient brush for quick adjustment. For areas with uneven hair lengths, you can use the smooth brush to even out the length. For areas where the guides are too straight, you can use the comb brush to adjust for a natural curvature. Enter object mode to view the hair effect and direction. The effect is acceptable. You can continue to handle the hair direction on the top of the head. Use the 2D brush to add some curvature changes to the hair on the top. The hair on the back of the head is intersecting significantly. You can use the comb brush to handle it. For intersecting issues, you can use the orient brush to modify the intersecting area, or you can directly use the comb brush to comb the hair into straight lines. Then add curvature again. After that, observe the effect and fix other existing issues. Enter object mode to view the hair, finding that the hair on the back of the head is too straight, needing further adjustment. When modifying the length of the hair on the head's edge, you should add some length variation. Do not let all the hair be of the same length. The variation in length makes the hair look more natural. In the top view, you can find that the hair on the top of the head is intersecting significantly. You can use the orient brush for adjustment, or you can use the 3D brush to directly modify the hair at the root, which will not affect other parts of the hair. Next, enter object mode to view the hair. After that, you may find that the hair near the horns is too long and needs to be shortened. You can also use the smooth brush to handle the hair transition. The current hair is not fluffy enough. You can use the orient brush to make the hair fluffier. Next, use the length brush for further modification. After that, enter object mode to view the hair. You can find that the hair contour is not full enough. You need to use the length brush to fix the contour and adjust the direction issues. Then enter object mode to view the effect. You can find that the hair direction around the horns is too straight, needing some direction variation and curvature. For areas on the top of the head lacking guides, you can use the Add brush to add more guides. There are still issues with the contour of the top hair needing further modification. Now you can find that the guides on the top of the head are uneven, so you can use the density brush to evenly distribute guides. The guides on the cheeks are too straight, lacking direction and curvature variation. You can use the noise brush of 3D Hairbrush to quickly generate random effects. Enabling Use Roughness will add random variation to the hair. The hair on the top of the head is still too straight. You can use the noise brush for further adjustment. In addition to adding random effects, the bison hair is quite long, needing some cracks. You can quickly create cracks using the part brush. And you can combine it with the attract brush to strengthen the crack effects. The number of guides on the cheeks is still insufficient. You can use the Add brush to add more. Enter Object Mode to view the hair. Now the hair direction is complete. Next, we will explain how to use modifiers to create hair styling.